Time having arrived, I'm going to declare the Tuesday, May 5th, 2020 Brockton School Committee to order. We will start the meeting by first saluting our American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members of the school committee, we lost a great public servant, great friend of the Brockton Public Schools, John Jerome. If you knew John, he was not just a gentleman, but he cared about the Brockton Public School system, the teachers, the students. He was the interim superintendent of schools for some time. He passed away. Our thoughts are with him and his family. Let's take a moment of silence and honor John Jerome, please. May he rest in peace. School committee members, as we've been doing, again, I have to read the verbiage to open up this virtual school committee meeting. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and state of emergency, on March 12, 2020, Governor Baker issued an executive order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. Pursuant to the order, public bodies are temporarily relieved from the open meeting law's requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be held and will be accessible to the public via Brockton Community Access, Brockton Public Schools, and the website is www.bpsma.org, YouTube, and Comcast Channel 12 here in the city of Brockton. The public can access this meeting via this link, which is as follows: www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. That being said, I now have to take a regular school committee roll call to accept the revised open meeting law. The Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
Yes.
Ms. Mendez.
Yes.
Attorney, Mr. Minicello.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Is Tony on? I didn't hear him.
He is not.
Okay. Mrs. Sullivan.
Yes.
Hi, Judy.
Hello.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
And the superintendent of schools is a non-voting member, Mike Thomas. I now will take another roll call vote relative to establishing a quorum, and we'll be able to open up the meeting tonight. The Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
Yes.
Ms. Mendez.
Yes.
Attorney, Mr. Minicello, please.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mrs. Sullivan.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
Again, Superintendent Mike Thomas is a non-voting member. I do want to thank, of course, BCA and Mike Simmons for always facilitating these Zooms, the new norm. I want to thank Melinda Campbell and all the efforts that she does to compile the agenda. I do want to give the school committee members an update relative to COVID-19 and the pandemic that's plaguing not just the city, not just the Commonwealth or the nation, but the world. Unfortunately, 159 is a current loss of life number. 159 Brockton residents have passed away because of COVID. We're over 2,500 active positive current cases. 2,500 Brocktonians are dealing with positive cases of coronavirus. And then we've reached over 3,000 people that have been impacted since the state started calculating these numbers. So we're going to be diligent. We're going to keep working. I want to thank each and every one of you for the efforts you're making to get the message out. Again, the task force that Cynthia and Tony has joined can be open to anybody else on the school committee. We're having another Zoom tomorrow, health equity task force to really work together to try to come up with some data and stats. So with that being said, I'm going to open up the agenda. The consent agenda, again, on the agenda that was compiled and given to us is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Is there any member of the school committee that would like to take any of those sections? Mr. D'Agostino.
Yeah, I would like to take item B.
B as in boy, the approval of the April 16, 2020 Finance Subcommittee meeting minutes, Mr. D'Agostino?
That is correct.
Okay, so we will take that out. We'll act on the other ones unless there's any members that want to take any other items out. Seeing none. A, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Again, A is the approval of the April 7th, 2020 regular school committee meeting minutes. C is the authorization to submit application to the fiscal year 20 U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance Stop School Violence Grant, $750,000. D is authorization to submit proposal to the American Student Assistance ASA for grant to assist with emergency meal service. That's $10,000. E is authorization to submit fiscal year 20 Safer Schools and Communities Local Equipment and Technology Grant application to the Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. That is in the amount of $37,380. F is the authorization to submit fiscal year 20 Summer Food Service Program EATS Expansion Access Training and Startup Grant to the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, which is MA DESE. FC 542, that's in the amount of $14,855. G is the acceptance notification of personnel appointments non-certified, and H is the acceptance of notification of personnel actions, leave of absences, and retirements. Is there any questions relative to A, C, D, E, F, G, and H as stated?
I'd like to make a motion to approve items A, C, D, E, F, G, and H.
The motion
Second.
made, Mr. Sullivan, that was seconded. Was it Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan, I'll have to take a roll call vote. The chair, Sullivan, says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino,
Yes.
Ms. Azak,
Yes.
Ms. Mendez,
Yes.
Mr. Domenici,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
All affirmative votes, ratify such, the matters of A, C, D, E, F, G, and H have been approved. And they'll go back to the Vice Chairman, Mr. D'Agostino, relative to B.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick review of the April 16th Finance Committee meeting. A few things that I'd like to highlight for the record and for the public. The first item on the agenda, the superintendent gave an update. He had a meeting with Commissioner Riley regarding the governor's FY21 budget. We learned that that is no longer valid. We had no additional new information available at that time, but they're hoping for at some point this month to provide us some additional budgetary information. Further, item number 2, we learned of an extension on the Student Opportunity Act application that was due. That was extended to May 15th as a soft deadline. So we'll continue. I know that the work is continuing on that. And then agenda item number 3, we discussed moving forward with 5 of the 6 MOAs with our bargaining units. And there was some question and answer from the members of the committee. Agenda item number 4, this was the statement of interest to renovate Brockton High. And I wanted to make sure that I gave this its mention, that, you know, we did sign the statement of interest, and I believe that has now been officially submitted to the MSBA. And we did have a discussion about the postponement of proms and graduations, and then you know, that we obviously want to find some way to have recognitions like this for our seniors that are kind of missing out. And that was the concludes my review of the April 16th, 2020 Finance Subcommittee meeting.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairman D'Agostino. Are there any questions of the school committee members relative to that subsection B? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion was
Second.
made to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a second by Ms. Azak. I'll do a roll call vote, please. The chair says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino,
Yes.
Ms. Azak,
Yes.
Ms. Mendez,
Yes.
Mr. Minicello,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan,
yes,
Mr. Sullivan. Thank you, muted, Jim.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. That's an affirmative vote of all members, and hereby passes. Thank you very much, school committee members. We'll go on to the third section, which is student communication, and I'm not aware of any communication. Vice Chair, are you aware of any?
No, I am not.
Mr. Superintendent, are you?
No.
Okay, we'll move on. Fourth section of the agenda is always our favorite part, the report of the superintendent of schools, Mike Thomas. And I just want to again thank Mike. I want to thank Dr. Cobbs and everybody at Central and the school committee members. As you know, we are doing an on-site testing, drive-up testing facility for COVID-19 at Brockton High School. It's a collaborative approach to the city, Brockton Neighborhood Health Center, and with Signature Healthcare, Brockton Hospital. It's been a raving success since yesterday. It's really helping us. The state has given us increased testing capability. And again, without the efforts of the school police and the superintendent of the schools and the school committee, we wouldn't have that. So thank you all. With that being said, Mr. Superintendent, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, I also wanted to just say something about first, obviously, we all mourn the deaths that happened in Brockton and throughout to COVID-19. And, you know, our hearts and thoughts and prayers are with all the families who have suffered losses. I also want to mention John Jerome, who was a mentor of mine. I had the privilege of working directly for John when I first came to Central from Brockton High. I worked directly for John from 2010 to 2014. He was always willing to lend a hand, give me advice, or just listen. He was a true gentleman, and I had the honor and privilege to work directly for him. So I just wanted to make sure I said that because he's such a wonderful guy, and my thoughts and prayers are with his wife Sharon and his family. So, moving on to the agenda, I'm happy to have with us tonight Janice Johnson Plumer, who's a community outreach specialist. And as at our last meeting, I said we'd bring Janice with us. Janice is doing amazing work to help our families that are in need, to make sure that they are getting the benefits from the state and from the federal government. Our families that are struggling, obviously through loss of wages, loss of jobs. And Janice has been a huge support for them. So I wanted Janice to come and provide you an update on the work she's doing with families and some of the benefits that families are receiving from the state and from the federal government. So thank you, Janice, for being with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Mike. Thank you for your kind words. I just wanted to begin to say that right now it's a very pivotal time, as you know, with the COVID-19. So many parents and families are kind of struggling as to, figure out, okay, how do we put food on our table? But meanwhile, also trying to school our children while they're at home during this time. So the Department of Transitional Assistance has been very gracious, and they have rolled out many initiatives for our parents and families at Brockton Public Schools. And just to kind of back up, back in 2018, Brockton Public Schools, we became a SNAP outreach partner, meaning that we're able to provide food stamp assistance to parents and families in Brockton Public Schools. That began in 2018, and it has the whole process is streamlined, because I know a lot of people, they associate food stamps as that typical stigma back in the day with the, someone in front of you with the jewelry and the fur coats and all that, but it's no longer that, as you may see, or as I've been seeing, that you're seeing a lot of middle-class families participating in these programs and going to a lot of food pantries, especially right now. So the Department of Transitional Assistance has rolled out a program. The standard EBT is still alive and well. So Right now, myself and Barbara Alicia, who's able to communicate with the Spanish-speaking families, we're able to provide SNAP assistance remotely, and that's unheard of, because normally you would have to be face-to-face with a client to sign paperwork and to upload documentation on their behalf. But Department of Transitional Assistance has realized that they've closed their doors and they're not seeing anyone at their local office at 60 Main Street. So they have basically relied on us as the SNAP outreach partners to assist parents and families. So we're able to do that remotely through our laptops and over the phone. That's one initiative. The second initiative is that DTA has also granted household and families the ability to get the maximum benefits that they normally would not have received prior to COVID-19. So if a household of 3 prior to this were receiving, let's say, $100 in benefits for SNAP, a household of 3 can actually get up to $352. So now these families are getting the maximum benefits on top of what they were getting before. So that's the second initiative. The third initiative that they rolled out, because Brockton Public Schools is a National School Lunch Program participant, CEP, so we are able to provide free lunch and breakfast to those families. We actually, DTA is going to be rolling out what is called PEBT, which is for the pandemic EBT benefits. So all the families that are listed or classified based on our listing that we submit to DESE as free and reduced will also get a PEBT card sent to them. So the card will be in the child's name. So if a household has 3 children, 3 cards will be mailed to the household for these benefits. So it's free and reduced, as well as those families that may not have qualified prior to the COVID-19 for SNAP or may have been eligible for SNAP. So they will get a PEBT card, and they're going to roll those out in 2 phases. The first phase is going to be those households that have SNAP already. Those benefits will be applied to their card automatically. So they have already received a text message or notice sent to them about this. The second wave is going to be sent to those households and families that have free and reduced lunch. They will get their PEBT cards. So you may have some families and households reaching out to you or asking you what this card is, what is it for? It's for them to purchase food for their household. Please let them know, do not throw out the card, because depending on when the list went out to DESE and how they're doing their extraction process, it's a whole process with DTA and DESE. They may get 2 payments. So they may get first payment of $199.50, and then they'll get another payment of $199.50. And how they determine that is that they determine $5.70 per child per day in 70 days, and that's the number of days that school has been closed. So they calculated March 16th through June 19th that these PEBT cards will be sent. And June 19th was just like an estimation of the, like when a lot of schools will be getting out of school at that time. So they just used June 19th. So that's kind of my main focus right now. And I'm also getting some calls for housing and food. Food insecurity is a big major thing that's going on with families, especially if they have COVID and they have to be quarantined. So I'm trying to coordinate with food services on how to get food sent to them, dropped off to them, because no household should be without food. I'm very particular about, I'm passionate about that. So my main focus right now is SNAP with the households. And like I said, if anybody knows someone that wants to apply, because the DTA offices, they cannot go to the telephone lines to get into DTA through DTA is it's not even feasible because they get so many calls per day. They can reach out to me and I would be glad to assist them.
So also, Janice works directly with Soraya DeBarros and Marcia Andrade Serpa. So, and Soraya Presame, a parent specialist. So she's able to connect families with any language that they require to speak at their home. So if she gets a call from a family that obviously needs things explained in their native language, then Janice has all of those people at her disposal to make sure the family gets a call back in their native language so they can obviously understand all the benefits they should be receiving clearly. So Janice has been doing a great job connecting the families to make sure the communication is clear and they clearly understand what their benefits are. And she has also been spending a lot of time with Dr. Cancel and with Dan Vigent, trying to work this issue with internet access and Comcast. She's been working with families and working with Ethan and also Dan Vigent about, trying to, increase our, the free internet access that that Comcast is supposed to be providing. So she's been working on that as well.
Thank you.
School committee members, any questions? Mr. Sullivan, please.
Just one, Janice. How would people get a hold of you? Is at the Parent Information Center?
No, I actually have a work cell number and I can provide that to you. It's
Okay.
it's 508
Yep,
208
yep.
5518. And
Okay,
they can
thank you.
call me, and they can call me anytime. I try to be very responsive because I know it's critical and parents are looking for information.
Yeah, there's a lot of people having tough times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any other school committee members have any questions? Janice, I want to thank you very much. That was really, really important information. Thank you for your
Thank you.
efforts. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, please.
Thank you, Janice. So next on the agenda, I'm going to move to June Saber McGuire and Cliff Murray. I think Ethan is with us, but I don't see him on the call, so he might not be with us. Just to give you an update on remote learning. So June and Cliff. Again, I don't see Ethan, so I'll let June start.
I'm sorry, I thought I was unmuted. So we obviously have responded to what the commissioner's advice has been around looking at what the essential standards are and feel like we're moving in the right direction as far as redefining the work that we're doing, not redefining, but making some modifications and really looking at those essential standards. One of the things that we think we have been doing that has put us going in the right direction is that we've been focusing on those essential standards all along. So that really hasn't shifted the direction of our work. So that the advice coming from the commissioner, and I think we've talked about this a lot, is we feel like the advice coming out of the state we've been one step ahead, not one step ahead, but in line with what the directives are or the guidance is that is coming from the state level. So if we have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer any.
Thank you, June. Any questions from the school committee members at all?
Yeah,
Mr. D'Agostino, please.
June, I just wanted to find out, have we talked in our last meeting, and you'd given us numbers of, how many, or maybe Ethan gave us these numbers, now that I'm thinking about it, of numbers of students that are logging in and engaging. I think we had a number for engagement. Has that continued to stay where it was?
That's not only continued to stay where it is, but it has increased. And again, Ethan's not on the call, but we did put out a survey to all of our principals across the district. And I'm sure Ethan's going to call in at some point tonight. But we should have numbers for you that will let you know how many students have engaged or how many families have been engaged. So we're getting close to 100%. Actually, I see him coming in on the call right now. So he's going to be able to tell you that because he did put out a survey that will allow us to give you exactly what the percentage is.
Hello, I'm really sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties.
It happens.
Okay, so we have, and I do have to make a couple of qualifications. This is our first shot at it. What we asked basically was, how many people have you been able to reach, and how many people have you not been able to reach? That doesn't mean that these people are in constant contact. It just means at some point they were reached out to. So we have a total of, it's very modest. Only 48 families were completely unable to be contacted, with all but one of the schools reporting.
Only 48. Great. And this, when you say they weren't contacted, this is no contact of any kind, adjustment counselors or engaging in curriculum, or like there's been nothing.
Right. There are 48 who are essentially, incommunicado.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any additional questions for Dr. Cancel or June? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. Mr. Superintendent, please.
And that kind of ties into what Sharon is doing, and she has been spending a lot of time with the adjustment counselors and our community mentors to make sure we're reaching these families, and she has a plan in place. So she'll go over the social emotional support we've been obviously doing right from the start, but also her game plan to start actually trying to do some home visits for these families, to see what we can do to help and obviously get the kids engaged. We have found out, and I've been talking to Dr. Murray, is some of our older kids have had to go to work because the family is in need of money, and with parents losing jobs and grandparents losing jobs, some of our older kids have been working a lot. So the high school continues, not only Dr. Murray, Dr. Cobbs, Cindy Burns, Jay Lana, who, obviously all of our high school principals obviously doing their best to reach these students, but there are some kids we're running into that are working a lot, and obviously takes away from the education piece. So I want to thank them for their continued outreach. But Sharon can fill you in on on what she's been doing, obviously, with our adjustment counselors, and what our plan is going forward to reach these kids that we're finding that are not engaged, and how we can reach out to them better.
So as you heard, there are 48 students that schools are saying they have not been able to reach. And so what we will do is cross-reference that list. The principals gave the number to Ethan. They are now sending the actual names and information about the students which members of their school have tried to reach out and what methods they've used to try to reach out to the families. We're going to cross-reference that list with special education, because to ensure that any of our service providers haven't reached them, with the mentors to make sure that they haven't been able to reach them. And then working with John Snellgrove and some of the school adjustment counselors, we are going to set up a time for the mentors and John and any of the school adjustment counselors who will join him, and just going to the houses based on the address information that we have, and just to do the knock on the door and do the wellness check with them to see if they are okay, if they are able to make contact with the school and try to engage them in responding to the teachers and to their principals. And from there, what we learn, we may need to be able to provide some supports for those families. We have people who are willing to give us resources that we can share with families, hygiene resources. There are food pantries and opportunities out there for people to get food. What we're learning is either some people are afraid to leave their homes to go get it, or they're unable to. And so trying to support them in getting access to the resources in the community. We will continue to do that work. We did learn earlier in the week that, or at the end of last week, that one of our students has actually lost the parent. And so the older sibling is now responsible for the children in the home. And John actually went shopping and delivered things to that household because that family can't get out to get that stuff themselves. So for those tougher cases where we're learning of the needs of the families, we're really going to try to have a team that is going to be able to deliver whatever supports we can from there. And for those who just have disconnected from school because they've been away from it, we're going to try to re-engage them.
I just wanted to add one thing. I'm sorry. I misspoke. It is 69, not 49. 69.
So we will check on the 69.
Mr. D'Agostino, please.
All right, thank you, Ethan and Sharon, for the update and everything you're doing. If you wouldn't mind just keeping us up to date on how we're progressing. Obviously, I know confidentiality wise, we don't get the details of who, but how we're doing working on getting that number down. The superintendent mentioned that he thought some students were actually part of I assume they were in the 69, were actually having to go to work just to be able to bring money into the household. Do we think that the 69 includes those is my first question.
Not to give away too much information, but I believe, judging on the schools or the levels of the schools, I think that's a good assumption to make.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just, hearing that really jumped out at me I mean, obviously all of this is concerning for many different reasons. And this is something the superintendent and I've had many discussions about reaching out to the students that there's been no engagement with and various reasons why that's important. It kind of sounded like a story from the Great Depression where you have, teenage kids going out to work and help support the family. And we know how important it is that we make sure we still get them across the finish line to set them up for the future. So, I definitely would like to, just update it on at least the number so that we know that, so we can find out I guess hopefully the progress that you're able to make. I know it's tough. You're doing it. Everybody's doing everything they can. But I just, that number of students there, I'm particularly concerned about those particular kids. So if you could let us
And
know.
in some of those cases, those students would have requested a work permit, which we still have to provide. So we can definitely check our listing of students that have been issued work permits during this time and make sure that if they are on that list of students that the school has not been able to contact, we'll know that for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Any additional questions on this agenda item? Seeing none, I want to thank you, Sharon. Thank you very much for what you're doing, and we'll go back to the superintendent, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll let Aldo give us an update on the current FY 2020 budget, and then he'll also give us an update on what he is hearing, and also I'll ask the mayor to do so as well, what we're hearing about FY 21.
Good evening. The current budget, we are presently going through account by account to see what monies we might possibly have left over that we can either pre-buy with or maybe possibly carry forward to next year, knowing it's going to be a tough budget. We're going through estimating our electricity, estimating our gas expenses, looking at anything that's open that we can possibly close out, doing everything possible to preserve every dollar that we have. So we had bid openings yesterday and today for next year, but We're not going to have to act on them until July 1st. If we even act on them, we just at least have vendors lined up if that's the case. So payroll wise, we'll look like we're going to be pretty tight. And again, that's because we've been asked or forced to pay every employee through the remainder of this year. Ordinary maintenance, again, with certain areas we're looking at to hopefully save in, which is, electricity and heat and some of the other accounts. As far as for next year, I've got another conference call tomorrow at noon with the Department of Ed. We usually have about one a week. There's still no concrete guidance. They can't tell us for sure if they're going to level fund us or cut us. They can't tell us where the status of our grants yet. They still don't have any real idea whether will be a 1/12 budget or whether we'll actually receive something, a figure for Chapter 70 before July 1st, so we can make our budget. Again, we're lucky that Superintendent and BEA negotiated to push the notice for RIFs off till June 12th. That gives us some time. So hopefully we'll get some guidance before then. But at this point, I'm working on ways of saving every penny we have and looking at next year's budget to see how we can trim it if we need to trim it.
Yeah, I could just follow up on that too. We had a conference call today, Zoom. It was superintendent. It was myself. It was Troy Clarkson, the city CFO, with the state delegation. Michelle Dubois, Rep. Dubois was able to join. Unfortunately, Rep. Cassie and Cronin were on a call with the Speaker of the House, and Senator Brady actually was tied up as well. So we expressed a strong desire to get any and all monies in a timely manner so that we can craft a budget that makes sense on the city side and school side. I'll be very blunt, as I've said to the city council last night. All bets are off right now. Everything is on the table. Our hotel meals tax, our hotel motel, all that's decimated. Lottery funds across the Commonwealth is decimated. We can't rely on Chapter 70 and 90 at this time because we just don't know what's going to come out of Beacon Hill. So, as mayor, I filed an executive order to, on the city side, to halt all hiring, to halt all discretionary spending. I did this weeks ago. At the end of the day, we are looking for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to give us guidance. Maybe some of you have seen the Brockton enterprise about a substantial amount of money that came into the county. That was federal dollars, $90 million that the county applied for. Some people think that we could use that to subsidize our budget. That's 100% inaccurate. That money, in my humble opinion, should go back and assign to the Commonwealth so they can distribute it. It's earmarked only for COVID expenses. So right now we're in a quandary. I have Jay Connon, the former CFO, as a consultant helping us as well. But again, we just need to do cost containment measures, fiscal responsibility. As you know, myself and the superintendent and Aldo and Troy had been presenting an idea to try to acquire school buses over a 10 to 12 year time period to create our own fleet so we could save about $1 million and keep it in-house as opposed to first student. That's off the table for this year. We need to make sure that every penny is accounted for. And as you know, because we voted for it, the 93 teachers and parents, that's put on hold as well. So as I said to Lieutenant Governor Polito when I spoke to her the other day, Brockton was finally really ripe for some great things with that Student Opportunity Act coming down, long overdue. The Webby case, I went to school with Robin Webby. I mean, I was in the 80s. So we were finally going to be able to make a dent and really do some good things for the students and for the boys and girls. And that's all put on hold right now. So all I can tell you is we have a real good group of dedicated, collaborative people working. We're going to be diligent. And then as soon as we have some information, any information, we're going to come back to the school committee. We're going to go to the city council and share that information because we're all in this together. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you. And I'll add, we had a call with the commissioner on Monday. There wasn't not much new information from him. They did confirm the money that Kim Gibson told us about, that the information she got from the MTA at our last meeting last Tuesday, that it does look like we're getting $4.3 million out of the first CARES Act money through Title I. However, when we have no answer whether that's going to come through Chapter 70 or whether that will be subtracted from our Chapter 70 money. That's we don't know. So that's the part that we're concerned about that. Obviously, it's good news. We're getting 4.3 million, but the question is how that's going to come to us. So Aldo is keeping an eye on that. Hopefully he gets more information. Is that meeting tomorrow, Aldo?
Yes, I got a noontime call tomorrow.
So hopefully we get some more information tomorrow. I'm not scheduled to be with the commissioner again until a call again next Monday. So again, and when we get the updated information, we'll provide that to you. But at this time, that's the big question mark is, how they're going to give us that 4.3 million. And if it's on top of the Chapter 70 money, obviously that would be a big benefit. If it's not, then, that could be a problem. So we'll see how that goes over the next few weeks.
Any questions for Aldo or the superintendent? Mr. D'Agostino, please.
Aldo, if we could just go back a second, you were talking about, pre-buying, which we've done many years. You had also talked about carryover. And so my question, and I apologize if I'm mistaken, I didn't think we got to do that. So have you gotten some guidance that they were going to work with us on that?
The Department of Ed is in the legislature is working on possibly letting us carry funds forward. So they asked me what I'd have left over for money, and I told them nothing. I said that, we'll end this year spending every penny we have. I mean, I think they think we're going to have millions left over, but 80 or 85% of our budget is payroll. And the Department of Ed has asked us, the state has asked us to pay everyone, to spend it all. So really, we have close to nothing to carry forward. So in the end, if I've got $1 million, to me, that's half of a percent. It's actually less than half of a percent. So to me, that's not much money to really carry forward. But as usual, we'll buy paper, we'll buy wax and cleaning chemicals. I'll pay the copiers, the leases on that equipment for next year. I'll make some purchases like that. But as we stand right now, unless I come across many millions, which I don't see it, I've already looked, there won't be much. So it just makes it easier if I do have $500,000 left over and they let me carry it to next year, it makes it easier than trying to spend it now.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good that sounds like they may be offering some flexibility on that, because traditionally, they usually don't.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Any other members of the committee have any questions for Mr. Petronio or the superintendent or myself? Seeing none, we'll move on.
So Sharon spoke about it quickly, and I'll just piggyback on that about how there are outside agencies that have been working with us to, offer support and help. So I want to thank those agencies, and the NAACP has been working closely with us to support and do outreach to parents, and the Charity Guild, the BEA. Kim is looking. They have funds available for supplies for students. She's working on that, and also Kenny Montero, who has a mentoring program. He actually he was able to get a bunch of businesses donate some food, and he went around last week and delivered those to the lunch staff to all the locations. So we appreciate everybody for what they're doing to assist, obviously, our workers and also obviously our families. So I want to thank the groups that have been working with us. And again, I apologize. There's others that I might have left some out, but every week we're continuing to get more people to ask us and help us with volunteers. So we appreciate that. And then, so moving on to graduation ceremony, Jess and Dr. Murray, Dr. Cobbs, Cindy Burns, the deans at the high school. Obviously, we're working on two options, as you requested, obviously a virtual graduation, but also we will have plans for a physical graduation as well, obviously at a smaller scale. But what I wanted to talk about tonight is really looking at some dates in July. The mayor and I spoke. Obviously, Brockton, with a number of cases that we have, we do think it's best to, whether it's a virtual ceremony or a physical ceremony, that it's best to allow these ceremonies to happen in July, just for the safety and security As you know, teenagers are teenagers, and the later we can have these ceremonies in the summer, I think the safer it will be. If we do it too early, which I believe June would be too early, we know kids are kids. Kids are going to get together. They're going to have parties. So I just think it's the best option for us is to go with later dates in July, whether it's a virtual or a physical. We'll be ready for both. I want to thank Mike Simmons from the BCA because he's working closely with Jess. They're going to be a major part of putting on a virtual ceremony, and also, as they always are, if we are allowed to do a physical ceremony. So they're actually going to be working hand in hand with us for both options. Cap and gowns are being ordered. The lawn signs are in. We're waiting for the T-shirts, and we'll be making deliveries to the seniors' homes within the next 2 weeks. Obviously, there's, between all of our high schools, there's, about 1,300 graduates. So we'll be going around spending a lot of time doing deliveries to homes over the next 2 weeks to get those important items to our seniors as gifts. But I think, we should, I'm looking at, July 25th, 26th is a weekend in July. I just think it's safer. And I'll let the mayor chime in as well, because he and I spoke about this. I just think doing something too early will put people's safety at risk, obviously, with the number of cases we have. So the later we can wait, I think the safer it is, even if it has to be a virtual ceremony. Again, I think we have to protect our kids, and, teenagers are going to want to celebrate when they get their diploma. So I just think it's much safer to, try to do something later in July rather than doing something in June.
Yeah, I just want to echo the sentiments. I mean, I think collectively, the school committee, myself, superintendent, everybody on this call knows that this great disappointment, and we need to really show our joy and our pride and our support for these youngsters, for their accomplishments. So Mike and I did have some in-depth conversations. We agree it has to be, unfortunately, tentative right now, right? Because everything's still fluid. It's changing hour by hour. But we know that we will do something, and it won't be, etched in stone at this time. But I support exactly what Mike said. The later we can do it, the safer it's going to be. Again, it has to be data driven. And right now, our numbers. Good news is, we didn't lose any residents today, thank God. But again, it's still really a situation that's scary and changing. So I don't know if there's anybody on the committee that has any questions for Mike and I on this matter. Seeing none, we'll just keep discussing and of course sharing all ideas, and any suggestions or notions that any of you as a committee have, please pass them on to the superintendent or myself as well. We'll go on to the next agenda item, which is still under report of superintendent of schools.
So this is the 2021 calendar. We had to revise it, as I mentioned before, because the state has added September 14th as a holiday, a state holiday, because that is going to be, well, that's their plan for the marathon. So after the commissioner has pretty much told us that is a holiday, and that had to be added to our calendar. It doesn't replace Patriots Day because that still will fall within the April vacation. So thanks to Melinda, we went back and revised the 2021 calendar for the school year. So tonight would be the first read. And the only change we made was adding that September 14th Monday, which the state will recognize as a holiday. Melinda, did I miss anything there?
No, you did not, Superintendent Thomas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Members of the committee, any questions at all for the superintendent on that?
I have a question.
Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I just have a question for Superintendent Thomas. Should Good Friday be on this calendar since it is a day off for Brockton Public Schools?
No, it's actually a half day, Mrs. Sullivan.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought it was a full. I thought it was full. Okay.
No, it was a half day. It was changed, I want to say about 7 years ago. It used to be a full day off, and then it was changed in the calendar to a half day.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any additional questions on this matter for the superintendent? Seeing none, we'll move on. Same subsection C of report of superintendent of schools, please.
So, and then, so basically this item's referred to school committee, subcommittee. That's it, Mr. Mayor, sorry, that's it for my report under the.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, my apologies.
No worries. So, so is there items referred to the subcommittee, public hearing, school choice?
Yes, we've been working with Attorney Bresnahan on having a school choice hearing, which is required by law. So we would put this hearing on Tuesday, which is our next school committee meeting, which is Tuesday, May 19th. So I just wanted to, refer that. Melinda, can you just, does that have to be referred to subcommittee first?
No, a public hearing that will take place on the 19th at 5:45. I spoke with Attorney Bresnahan. It has been published in the enterprise as we are supposed to legally. I will send out to school committee members what we used last year as far as the agenda, the minutes, everything to be able to review. I'll put that in your packets on this Friday.
Thank you so much, Melinda.
You're welcome.
School committee members, any questions about that? I think Melinda just gave us all the information, and thank you again for all her efforts. Anything? Okay, we'll move on then. Section 5 is unfinished business, Student Opportunity Act, SOA, 3-year district plan.
So I want to thank Mr. Bath, who continues to work on this with us and for us. He obviously has all the data that we received from the meetings we had with teachers, the community meetings. Again, some of the community meetings were cut short because of the COVID. There were 2 more planned later in March. The news out of the commissioner's office is that pretty much the May 15th date is just a date, and they are not looking for a submittal at that time. So we will not be submitting anything on the 15th to them. So we will continue to work with Mr. Bath, who's gathering, again, he's worked with us. He's, he's gathered the information, the great feedback we got from the teachers. We had, Kim and I and the executive team had meetings with the teachers at all levels, and we got a lot of good feedback. But again, everything was cut short when we stopped school on after March 12th. So, but Richard continues to work on that, and and I'm glad that they moved the date, because they were, we were gathering more information. We needed to really come back to to our teachers, to the community, to kind of work together to put this together, put this all together. And obviously, that stopped. So I'm glad that they pretty much, this May 15th date is really not a real date. And we were pretty much told by the commissioner that, he's not expecting us to submit a plan on that date. So we will continue to work with Mr. Bath. And as we get closer to whenever they want us to submit that, obviously we'll be circling back with Kim and with all our stakeholders to make sure we have a solid plan in place.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Any questions relative to that matter, just defined by the superintendent? Seeing none, we'll move on. Agenda item 6 is new business. Is there any new business before us? Superintendent, I think, first we'll go, Mr. Minicello, please.
I'd just like to take a moment, I guess, at this time to also say a few words about John Jerome. When I first met John Jerome, he was the executive director of middle schools, and shortly thereafter, he became the assistant superintendent and then the interim superintendent, and he was certainly a lifelong committed Brocktonian. He grew up here in Brockton, and also went to, the only fault I have with John is he was a Spelman boy, and he wasn't a Brockton High guy, but we'll forgive him for that. But always committed to the city of Brockton. He's the type of person who never wanted to take credit for anything, really. He would have no problem letting someone else take the credit for a good idea. He was extremely intelligent, extremely good. Aldo can tell you how good he was with the budget and assisting in tough times, and finding money, and we used to laugh. We'd say he would supplant money. He would be able to take money from one pocket and put it where it was really needed and do it in a legal way. And he could figure that out. I think part of that talent came because he was a finance man at some point for a car dealership, and you know how crafty those car dealerships can be. So I think they taught him well, and he probably taught them a thing or two as well. But he was certainly a good man, a good father. Had 3 daughters, a good husband, a great son of Brockton, a great friend to many in the Brockton Public Schools. Loved children, and always managed to try to find a way to resolve a problem, and he'd always do it, like I said, in an understated or quiet way. He was able to assist one of our more flamboyant superintendents and be the voice of reason in many instances. So John will be sadly missed. I had a great deal of respect for him, and he's just a good person. And we've lost a good one, but heaven has gained a superstar. So just wanted to say that about John.
Thank you, Tom. Well said. Thank you. Any other new business? Superintendent, did you have something?
Yes, I want to say that Soraya DeBarros and members of the community school office, we're starting a campaign this week for outreach to businesses for laptop donations. So as you read probably, and it was probably about just over a month ago, Boston obviously has much larger business base, and they were able to, I guess the mayor's fund in Boston is about $10 million, and they were able to take about 5 million of that and buy laptops right away for students that needed them. Obviously, we loaned the ones we had in schools out, 6,000. So now we're doing a campaign asking for laptop donations, and I'll get that out to you when it's going to go out on Thursday. So Soraya is working closely with Michelle Bolton and also with Jess Hodges to get that out, and we'll be asking businesses. Again, as you know, we put 6,000 laptops out there, but and it goes to some families. There's 4 children in the family, and so if we could get some more laptops out there and through donations, that's our plan. And I also want to thank Dan Vigent and Ethan, Sharon, Janice, and I also thank the mayor who gave us the contact with Comcast. We're working with Comcast to try to expand the internet access, because that's been an issue. We also have made that clear to the Department of Ed, who understands it's not only a Brockton issue. A lot of the gateway cities, they're having issues with the internet access at home. So we're working closely with the contact from Comcast that the mayor gave us, and she's been helpful. So we're trying to make some progress on getting internet access for the families that right now don't have it. So I want to appreciate their efforts as well.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. I want to thank you, and I want to thank Jess Hodges. As I expressed just recently, we were working again in collaboration. We have drafted up, it's in many languages translated, just information, again, best practices dealing with COVID. And it was started being passed out yesterday, actually, at the lunch and breakfast handouts. And again, it's translated into multiple languages, and it really is helping just reiterate the information. I also want to share with you that as mayor, I can give you some good news. So Stop and Shop right across the street from Brockton High on Belmont Street was going to close. It's supposed to close today. And I spoke with the powers that be last week and was able to change their mind in a sense. They're going to keep a business at that location. It's going to be a Peapod virtual shopping. They're going to hire 50 more people. I asked them, and I required that it be Brockton resident preference. And I also asked them that they need to register all of their vehicles that they transport their food and insure them here in Brockton, so we get the excise tax, and they agreed to do that. So you'll see something in the enterprise. But why I'm bringing it up now is that they also agreed to give a grant to Brockton Public Schools. Not sure yet the hard number of it, they're working that, but at least it's gonna be something, and during tough times, every penny counts. So I just wanted to pass that information on. Any other new business before us?
Yes, I do have something.
Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I just wanted to say a little bit about John Jerome too. At the time when John Jerome did work for the school department, I was a parent then of children in the school system. And I could tell, you know, being on the outside like that, that he was very caring and respected by the educators in the district and the parents. So I just wanted to say that, and I just wanted to update the members on adult ed. The superintendent was gonna update us on adult ed.
Yeah, so thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. So as you know, when we stopped on March 12th, that stopped all of our extra compensation jobs. And there's several of those. Some of them are grant funded. Some of them, obviously, a lot of local funded. And I'm talking about coaches. I'm talking extended day, the teachers that teach in Edison Academy. There's STEM things that happen after school. There's all kinds of clubs at Brockton High and at the middle schools. So all those jobs, all those positions had stopped, even if they were grant funded, because obviously we have to be equal across the board. We are waiting for more guidance from the Department of Ed because there is some adult learning classes. There are several that aren't taking place because, you know, we haven't been paying that additional comp. Again, it is grant funded. Aldo did speak to the person at the Department of Ed in charge of adult ed, and we're supposed to be getting guidance coming out about that. And again, we're not looking to give any money back. We're asking to be able to carry that money over. We're not looking to not provide services to anybody, but again, we got to be very careful with additional comp jobs because it's a question about fairness. I mean, if you open one group of ad comp jobs, you have to open all of them. So we want to make sure we're going to try to keep that money, carry it over. And obviously, we're not looking to shortchange anybody that deserves these programs. Again, we just have to be very careful of the programs that we are running. Again, we don't have the teachers, you know, we have other people covering with Dr. Cobb's, the Edison Academy. And usually he has about, 25, 30 teachers that work at Edison Academy. Right now, those teachers aren't doing that. It's being covered by other people in the district during their regular day jobs. So I know it's a little different for adult ed, but it is additional comp. So we have to be very careful about it. So there is a plan. We're working with the state. We want to make sure that the adults that need these English classes end up getting them. And we hope to reopen those soon, the part-time jobs soon. But again, we're waiting for more guidance from the state. And we're also hoping to, run more of those programs in the summer if we're allowed to carry that money over. But that was a question that came up with to Mrs. Sullivan. So we are working on that. We hope to have an answer within the next 2 weeks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Aldo, I don't know if you want to add anything of your conversation with the state.
You basically covered it there. The state said that they'll back us whichever way we go on it. They understand our situation. When you have this where this isn't the only group that's affected. We have many different groups that are affected by this. So we have to be fair across the board to everyone. And that's basically where we're coming on this. We're trying to be fair to everyone so that everyone is at least getting a regular paycheck across the board. And like I said, the Department of Ed asked us to pay everyone possible a regular paycheck, and that's what we've done.
So
Thank you.
And there are 7 full-time employees at the Adult Learning Center. They are continuing to work with the adults in providing education. The part-time is what stopped. And again, we will work with the state, and again, we'll get that up and running when we can, again, and making sure that it's fiscally responsible, even though it is grant funded. We are going to ask to carry those grants forward, which I think the state is really considering, obviously, around these circumstances, because there are other grants that we want carried forward. There are, STEM grant with our students that are in STEM programs that we're doing a lot of after-school activities. Those stopped as well. So we're looking for a lot of grant money to be able to continue into July and beyond.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. I see Mr. Minchella has another question. Tom?
Thank you. Just a follow-up, Mr. Superintendent, I got that same question again about summer programs from someone affiliated with the Y. I assume we have no further update with regard to summer programs in our school buildings at this point?
Not right now, but I had a really good meeting with 6 members, Mr. Vinnie Materano and his team. Actually, I had a team, they invited me to a Zoom meeting. They are planning, they're doing a good job of planning what the summer's gonna look like. So they are partnering with us. And again, we talked about a hybrid model, whether, some kids would be in during the day and others would be online, and then those kids would switch. We do have a group in school as well, looking at our own summer programs, what they might look like going forward. And we are working closely with the Y. Some kids might be doing things at the Y and then doing stuff with us remotely, and then we would switch that the next day, again, depending on what the guidelines say.
Is Ethan still with us? Do you know if Ethan's still with us?
Yeah, he's there.
Oh, okay.
I see him there.
Yep.
I see his name.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Hi, Ethan. Ethan, I have a question for you. How does NASA organize a party or a graduation?
I don't know how.
They plan it, of course. I figured I owed you one, Ethan.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for indulging.
Oh,
I owed Ethan one.
I love it. I love it. We'll keep it, during this tough time, we got to keep humor in the mix. So thank you, Attorney Minicello. Any additional questions for the superintendent or any new business? Seeing none, we're going to move on.
I do.
Oh, okay, Joyce, please.
Sorry. I just wanted to take a moment to express my sympathies to Mr. Jerome's family. I didn't have the pleasure of working with him, but I heard so many wonderful stories over the years. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family. And before I forget, this evening, our student rep, Georgina Eunice, is celebrating her 17th birthday today. She is staying on top of things, watching the school committee meetings, and very anxious to get back to reporting. So maybe we'll invite her back before the end of the year and just have her report on, what's going on with the students and things like that. But I just wanted to wish her a special birthday. And we miss having her at the meetings. And thank you.
Thanks, Ms. And of course we will. And happy birthday from all of us. But yes, we would love to have her back, and we'll do that on the next agenda item if there's no objections. That'd be wonderful. But thank you for what you're doing as well, Joyce. If there's no other new business, we have to continue on the agenda item, and it's number 7, and it's executive session. And I need to read the formal declaration. School committee will go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. If an open meeting may have detrimental effect of the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. BPA, Brockton Educational Paraprofessionals Association, the regular meeting will not reconvene. I need to entertain a roll call vote. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go to executive session.
Second.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sullivan, was seconded by Ms. Azak. We'll take a roll call vote. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
Yes.
Ms. Mendez.
Yes.
Mr. Minicello.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
It's affirmative. The school committee has affirmatively voted to go into executive session. We will not be coming back into open session. With that being said, right now, members, please stay on. Those that are not elected members or entitled to go in executive session, please drop off. And again, whatever is in executive session is privy and stays among the convened body. We'll stay on, and I know Mike Simmons also will stop recording.